How's it going, guys? This is Steve from Broke to Wealthy. So grateful to have you on this video. I hope you've all had an excellent week. This video is for those who are just getting out of high school and have no idea what they want to do with their lives, and for parents out there who have kids who are in this situation. This video is for you guys as well. I'm going to be talking about my history, what I did when I got out of high school, the regrets I have, and the decisions that I made that I'm happy with and that have got me into the current position that I am in right now. So let's go back 15 years to see the decisions that I make and why I think that you should consider doing the same thing. So what I did when I finished high school and what I've been told my entire life is that you need to go to university and you need to get a 4-year degree. That, in my opinion, is BS, guys. The trap with that, and unfortunately what a lot of people end up doing, is getting into student debt, which they then are forced to get a job in something that they didn't even study to pay off the student debt. It's a very sad situation. What I did, and I was fortunate to not get into student debt, is that I was still living at home with my parents, and I got a job out of high school where I would work my ass off and pay for 4 years of university. Now, if you do want to get a 4-year degree, I respect that. I would recommend going to 2 years of a community college, which is what I did, and then transferring to 2 years at a university to get your bachelor's degree. It just works out so much cheaper, and that way you avoid getting into debt. Now, what I did after university is I was working a corporate job. Now, this was part of my initial plan to get me where I wanted to go, which I'll explain to you shortly. So, let me have a sip of coffee real quick. So, I'm finished university. I get a job at a car rental company, which was absolutely horrendous. Worked there for 4 months. And then I worked for a large bank, and I was there for 1 year, and I actually absolutely dreaded the corporate life. I dreaded the 30-minute lunch breaks where you had to sign out and sign in. And I remember one day sitting at my desk and just thinking, like, what the heck am I doing? At the time, I wanted to learn Spanish. And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to resign from my job. Me working throughout university and me working through the first year after university and me staying at home allowed me to save up enough money where I could quit my job and just travel. And that is my first recommendation, is to travel. Anyway, I'll carry on with my story. I went ahead and I resigned from my job. I went and booked a ticket to Costa Rica, and I stayed with a Spanish family and took Spanish classes for 4 months in Costa Rica. It was the best decision I've ever made. Go back to that. I finished my 4 months in Costa Rica, came back to the States, and I found myself in the same situation, trying to find a job. And I remember just feeling like that desperation of trying to find a job, and even going back to the job that I had resigned from. And I sent the HR an email, and I was like, do you guys have any openings? I'm looking for a job. And that was like, man, that was desperation right there. And I realized I do not want to go back into the same rat race that I was in before. So what I did is I decided to move to Ecuador. And what I found out with Ecuador is that you could get a work visa, just by having a bachelor's degree. So if you go down to Ecuador on a tourist visa, and then after 3 months of living on the tourist visa, you can apply for a work permit just by having a bachelor's degree, which is freaking cool. So that's exactly what I did. And I ended up spending 3 years in Ecuador. I worked in a travel agency, and I worked in a Marriott hotel, which was freaking awesome. I ended up meeting my wife at the travel agency as well. So it was like all part of the big plan for me to get down to Ecuador. Anyway, I'm in Ecuador, and I realized that I want to travel some more. So I go ahead and I purchase a ticket to Paris, France, and I stayed in Paris for 10 months. And during my time in Paris, I was able to work in a Marriott as well, and travel throughout Europe, to many different countries and just really experience Europe for 10 months. And that right there was the best decision that I have ever made. I went and I learned fluent Spanish during my time in Ecuador, and I went and picked up intermediate French during my time in France. And I'll tell you that people will tell you, getting out of high school that you need to get a degree. And I find that that is such an old way of thinking, that if my kid wanted to go ahead and, if he's now graduating high school, what I would recommend and what I would have done back then is I would have gotten a trade. I would have gone to 1 or 2 year trade school, and I would have picked up some type of trade that, whether it be plumbing, electrical, any type of woodworking, and I would have studied that, because that is a type of job that you, no matter where you are in the world, if you learn the basic vocabulary of whatever language that is, you will be in demand and you will be able to work in that trade. So 18 years old, go to a trade school for 1 or 2 years and find a part-time, full-time job, whatever permits you to study and work. And if you're still fortunate enough to be living at home, save as much money as you can. Live below your means. Don't try and impress people by buying stupid things like I did, and just live below your means and save as much as you can. Now, when you decide on what country to move to, and this is based on your love for the culture, you need to have a connection with the culture of the country. And I'm talking music, I'm talking food, I'm talking people, just the scenery of the country, what the country has to offer. You need to have a connection with that, and then start learning basic language about that country that you want to move to. A lot of these countries too will offer work visas just based on your trade that you have. So with that alone, you should be able to get to the country and then be able to find work within the country. I know if you're like a handy person and you go to like a basic engineering school, a lot of the hotels all around the world are always looking for maintenance people, engineers to work in the hotel and fix basic things that break around the hotel, from changing light bulbs to unplugging toilets, fixing, random things. And those are also very beneficial skills to have that you could take with you anywhere around the world. Doing this, I can guarantee you will not regret it. It is the best decision that I have made, living in another country, experiencing the culture, meeting people, being able to travel to other countries around that country. It is the most enriching and beneficial thing that I could ever add to my resume and to my skill set. It is something that you just cannot put a price on. And I feel like me doing that at a young age really set me up for where I am today. I would have never, met my wife. We would never have the beautiful son that we have now, and I would have never have learned Spanish most likely and have a very solid level of French if I had never made that decision to quit my job and to travel. Now, when you're setting up your travel plans, what I recommend is limiting your liabilities as much as you can. Don't go out and buy the fancy car. Don't take a loan to get a car. Use public transport or pay your car off in cash, or get a bicycle if you have to, and just live below your means as much as you can, and that will set you up for savings when you move to another country, provided you don't find work right away. If I could go back and do it all again, the part that I would change would be the trade school and not necessarily the 4-year degree. Now, the 4-year degree has also given me some great benefits that has allowed me to be in the position that I am today. So I'm grateful for that as well. So you got to do whatever works best for you, that you think is going to help get you set up to be able to do that in the early age. But even if you're not in your 20s and 30s and you want to be, you want to do this and travel. The key to it all, man, and I'm telling you, is limiting those liabilities and setting up your asset base. If you can get that right over the years and set it up to the point where you could just travel and not have to worry about paying for certain things, adding to your skill set, and if you have to work, you can continue working in other countries. You just alone speaking English, you don't realize how much of an asset you are to other countries, like Ecuador, for example. When I was working in the Marriott Hotel, just alone speaking English there is gets you in the door for so many companies. So, guys, that is my go back in time, share with you my history, and for those who are like 18, man, coming out of high school, potentially thinking about going to university or even finishing university, that is my recommendation to really have a life-altering experience. And I believe now, as things are coming off this pandemic, it's going to be a lot easier. And I think it's a great time to go ahead and to make it happen. But guys, that has been today's video, a little different style of video. I appreciate you all for following, subscribing. On the Instagram page, I've kind of changed the way I do things on that now, where it's more like financial news coming out. So let me know if you like that. Please subscribe. I've got some links in the bottom of this video where you can get free stock and free crypto. So make sure to hit on those. And thank you. Keep investing, stay in the game, and I'll chat to you soon. Cheers.